CoachDaGhost is a rapper from Brownsville, Brooklyn, who's been making waves in New York's drill scene. But he was recently arrested and charged with murder, attempted murder, and assault in connection with the death of a 17-year-old Brooklyn resident earlier this year. Let's take a closer look at what went down. On December 3rd, CoachDaGhost was arrested by NYPD detectives in Clayton County, Georgia, after being accused of gunning down 17-year-old Brian Sanon in the Canarsie neighborhood of Brooklyn earlier this year. On March 13th, Brian left his home to go for a walk with friends. Around 10 a.m., the group was on East 82nd Street near Farragut Road when a gunman hopped out of the back seat of a silver sedan and opened fire on him. Brian was shot and killed. A 20-year-old victim was also shot in the face, and a 19-year-old was grazed in both legs, but both are expected to recover. Brian's mom was at a doctor's appointment when she got an alert on her phone on Citizen and had that sent out notifications about local crimes. The alert said that a teenager had been shot and killed in the area. When she got back to the neighborhood, she found her son still laid out on the pavement. Police quickly connected CoachDaGhost to the shooting, but they weren't able to track him down immediately because he had already left the state. They eventually caught up to him in Clayton County, Georgia, an area outside of Atlanta, and brought him back to New York to face charges of murder, attempted murder, and assault. Police also arrested 26-year-old Naquan Pruitt of Levittown, Pennsylvania, back in July, who's being held on the same charges. It's not really clear why Brian Sanon and his friends were targeted, or if Coach is accused of being the shooter or the driver, but the police believe the attack may have been gang-related. CoachDaGhost is a rapper from Brooklyn. Early on, he lived in the Roosevelt Projects in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, but later moved to Brownsville. His parents were Guatemalan, and Spanish is actually his first language. He was in the streets at an early age, jumping off the porch around 12 years old. He's a member of the Youngsta Disciples and was an original member of the Hood Stars, the group that's now known as the Chos. When he was 16, Coach got arrested for attempted murder and also got caught up in a major gang indictment that put him behind bars for 5 years. In 2012, the NYPD launched a huge gang investigation called Operation Tidal Wave. The investigation targeted 2 gangs, the Hood Stars and the Wave Gang, who had been terrorizing the streets of Brooklyn with multiple shootouts that left at least 3 people dead. The Hood Stars and the Wave Gang would later reform as the Wu and the Cho, who still beef to this day. 25 accused members of the Wave Gang and 18 members of the Hood Stars were arrested in the indictment. Their ages ranged from 15 to 21, and according to police, they bragged about their crimes on social media. Police were monitoring their activities for over a year, stacking evidence to make their case. During the arrest, they confiscated a total of 35 guns. The men arrested were charged with crimes that included murder, assault, reckless endangerment, robbery, and weapons possession. Even though he was just a teenager, police named CoachDaGhost as one of the primary leaders of the Hood Stars. He was also accused of shooting an op in the arm at the Marcus Garvey housing projects in Brownsville. The Hood Stars were also beefing with a gang called the Brownsville Fly Guys, who had ties to the Wave Gang. They used to be allied, but allegations of snitching turned them against each other. Around 2:30 a.m. on June 27, 2010, Coach allegedly got into an argument with a Fly Guys member named Taekwon Span. During that argument, he pulled out a gun and shot Taekwon in the arm. The incident set off a wave of violence between the 2 gangs. The next day, Taekwon's best friend, another member of the Fly Guys named Isaiah Taylor, was killed while riding his bike down Straw Street. He was shot a total of 3 times and eventually passed away. Less than 24 hours after that, a 16-year-old member of the Hood Stars named Hakeem Gravenheis was shot and killed in front of his home on Union Street. Hakeem was supposedly one of the leaders of the Hood Stars. At the time of his death, he was awaiting trial for the murder of a 9-year-old innocent bystander named Ronell Gurley. At that point, Coach posted bail and was looking for revenge for Hakeem's death. But before he could make a move, he was arrested on November 5th for gun possession. He was released with no bail, but was arrested not long after in Operation Tidal Wave and faced charges of attempted murder. He eventually accepted a plea deal and pled guilty to criminal possession of a weapon and assault. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison at just 17 years old. During his time behind bars, he went to multiple state prisons. He also spent around 2 years in solitary confinement, which is where he started learning how to rap and realized he wanted to pursue music after getting out of prison. He got out in 2017 and was sentenced to 5 years of probation. After Coach was released from prison, he went straight to the booth and started recording music. At that point, the Brooklyn drill scene was just beginning, and the Chos were building their own lane in the rap scene. So, he linked with other GD rappers like Nas Blicky and MV Kane, who helped him develop his own sound. But at the same time, the Woos was also gaining traction in the music industry, which created competition over who would take over the rap game. Being one of the OG leaders of the Hood Stars, CoachDaGhost started beefing with some of the top rappers associated with the Woo, including 5 Foreign and the late Pop Smoke. In September 2018, 5 Foreign dropped the track TT featuring Drizzy Giuliano, where he raps, "Hoodie on when I'm approaching them. I want to know who's coaching them." At the beginning of the video, it also reads, "GDK shit, aka TT," making it clear who the diss is aimed at. Coach then followed up with the track Wu K, where he responds with the bar, "Switch siders, adios. Riders, that's 5 Over the next few years, Coach and 5 will continue sending shots back and forth. Then Coach and MV Kane dropped Wu K parts 2 and 3 and continued to apply pressure to their ops. But throughout the late 2010s, the Wolves dominated the Brooklyn drill scene. Pop Smoke would take over in 2019 with Welcome to the Party and Dior. 5-Yo Foreign would blow up not long after that with Big Drip. But Pop Smoke's tragic death in February 2020 will leave a major hole in the Brooklyn drill scene. Coach capitalized off the death of his op by dropping the song Hit List, which became his breakout hit. On the track, he drops the bar, "I was searching and looking for 5-Yo. Around and got Addy on Guapo." Jay Guapo's another Wu rapper, so he's claiming he was out hunting for 5-Yo but caught Jay instead. He continues rapping, "And if you getting money, then why you condoning the same shit that got Pop smoked? And I just find it funny, it's 2020, so stop rapping the set that you're not, bro." This was the bar that really attracted the attention of rap fans. The line is more aimed at 5-Yo, but many saw it as a Pop Smoke diss. Coach is questioning why 5-Yo is still promoting gang culture when he's already gotten rich, but Pop had only died a few months before, so many thought Coach was dissing the dead for portraying an image that got him killed. But the controversy helped the song take off, and the video racked up millions of views. The Trap God himself, Gucci Mane, posted a clip from the video to his Instagram with the caption, "Anyone from New York, please help me contact this dude at CoachDaGhost. Tell him I want him to sign to hashtag the new 1017 today. He too hard." Not long after that, Coach was spotted with a 1017 chain and it was officially announced that he was signing a deal with Gucci. But just a few months later, it seemed like the deal fell through. Fans were quick to notice that Gucci and Coach were never featured on a song together. Plus, Coach was left off the So Icy Summer mixtape, which featured other new 1017 members like Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano. This led to rumors that Coach had been dropped from the label for dissing Pop Smoke. It's not clear exactly what happened behind the scenes, but Coach ended up signing a deal directly with Atlantic Records, the major label that 1017 is affiliated with. But Coach let it be known that it's still all love and that Gucci helped him get the deal with Atlantic. Coach continued to drop tracks and build his buzz, but internal beef with his own gang led to more problems. In late 2020, CoachDaGhost went live to announce that MV Kane, his former friend and collaborator, was no longer folk, aka part of the GDs. MV Kane clapped back a few months later and told Coach to stop playing games and come link up if he really wanted smoke. It's not clear exactly what caused the beef, but it might have started when MV Kane was down in Georgia with some other GDs. There's a group of GDs in Atlanta who left Brooklyn to avoid gang politics. The GDs in Brooklyn are far outnumbered by the Bloods and Crips, and they tend to beef with everybody. So, some moved down south to avoid all the drama. MV Kane allegedly went down in Georgia and was creating problems. So, Coach decided to separate himself because he felt like Envy was making the crew look bad. After that, CoachDaGhost lay low for a while. He'd only drop a few singles after blowing up with Hit List and hasn't done any tours or features with other artists. Now it looks like the reason's been revealed. He's been on the run for a murder charge for the past few months and probably didn't want to bring too much attention to himself. At this point, it's not clear what evidence police have to connect him to the crime, but if they're willing to spend time and money to hunt him down in Georgia, they must have a pretty strong case. CoachDaGhost had a lot going for him and could have really blew up in the industry if he stayed focused. He had respect from the streets for being one of the original hood stars and did his time without snitching. Plus, he managed to sign a major record deal, but it seems like he was too deep in the gang lifestyle and just couldn't separate himself from the streets after hitting it big. Maybe it's all a misunderstanding, and the police are just targeting him because of his reputation. But if he was somehow involved in the murder based on his prior convictions, he's likely looking at doing a lot of time. More info is likely to come out as the case progresses, so stay posted for updates.